I've got good news for you. There's never been a time in human history when it's been easier to create wealth than right now in 2024. I mean, I don't mean a little easier. I don't mean kind of easier. I don't mean sort of easier. I mean like way easier than ever before, but it doesn't feel like it. In this video, I'm going to share with you something I wrote about just almost in passing in my book, From the Trash Man to the Cash Man, but I'm going to go into great detail on this concept that I call the two-sentence wealth formula. That's right. I'm going to teach you in this video how to get rich in 2 sentences. I'm going to write them on the board so that I don't go so fast that you can't write them down, because I know I talk fast sometimes. So we're going to pump the brakes a little bit today. I'm going to give you all some stuff that will absolutely take your life to the next level. If you're ready, somebody holler at me. I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. So sentence number 1, 2-sentence wealth formula. Okay, if you want to be rich, find out. Do what? Find out what rich people do financially comma and do the same things. Now, I know that seems like an oversimplification, but you're going to find out in very short order that is not an oversimplification at all. That's the first sentence. Find out what rich people do financially, comma, and do the same thing, period. If you will do that, it will change your life. But when I say find out, find out, those 2 words may not be strong enough. Maybe I should say, make a study of what rich people do financially, comma, and do the same thing. Perhaps I should say, obsess over what rich people do financially and do the same things. Perhaps I should say, never stop looking for what rich people do financially and do the same things. Okay, sentence number 2 is way more important than sentence number 1. What's sentence number 2? Find out. Do what? Find out what poor people do. What poor people do financially comma and whatever else you do, whatever else you do, don't do that. If you will obsess over these 2 sentences, it is virtually impossible for you not to create wealth. I mean, but you can't just read them and then you're going to be rich. This is not Read and Grow Rich. You can't just think them. You have to actually do it. You have to actually turn this into a study. Okay, so I mean, find out where rich people go to buy their groceries and buy your groceries there. Find out where poor people go. Don't go to those places. I know it sounds ridiculous. I get it. But if creating wealth made sense to you, you'd already be doing it. Find out the kind of thoughts they think. Whatever you do, don't think those thoughts. Find out what restaurants they eat at. Find out what restaurants poor people eat at. Don't eat at those restaurants. Find out what restaurants rich people eat at. Eat at those restaurants sometimes. Find out where poor people go on vacation. Avoid those spots. Find out where rich people go on vacation. You say, Myron, that sounds so cynical. Okay, that's one thing it sounds, but I'm going to tell you something. This is what I did, and I just decided. Poor people do it. I'm not doing it. That's why when I was poor, I didn't have a television. Right? Because when you're poor and you have a television, you got a bunch of rich people who make money telling you your vision. Or better, worse yet, they're telling you their vision. And their vision has nothing to do with making your life better. And so my youngest daughter, she was 16 when we got a television with cable TV in our house. Why? Because I'm not going to be broke as a joke and ready to choke, watching other people live their dreams while I'm living a nightmare. It didn't make sense to me. And so there are three particular areas in which if you will obsess over these two sentences, find out what rich people do financially and do the same things, period. Find out what poor people do financially, and whatever else you do, don't do that. If you will obsess over these two sentences in three areas of your life, it is virtually impossible for you not to get rich. So this is the two-sentence wealth formula. These are the three arenas in which to apply them. Number one, you have to apply this. You know what? I'm going to use a different color. You have to apply this to your mind. You have to apply these two sentences to your mind. Number two, you have to apply these two formulas to your mouth. And number three, you have to apply these two formulas to your money. When you think the thoughts that rich people think, speak the words that rich people speak, and then use your money the way rich people use money, it is virtually impossible for you not to get rich. Like, I don't even see how it's even virtually possible for you to stay poor. I don't even see how it's even likely, a possibility that you could stay poor. I know for a fact, like a lot of stuff people believe. So let's start with that. So in the mind, what do we got? I mean, we could literally stay on that one all day. So we're going to start off with your mind. What are we going to do? We're going to figure out what are some things we can do in our minds that rich people do, okay? So we have to find what rich people believe. I'm telling you, rich people believe something very different than poor people believe. And I remember listening to Jim Rohn when I was broke. Oh, I was sharing the story yesterday with somebody. With Dr. Sonia when I did that interview. I remember that when I first got started in entrepreneurship, I used to rebuild cars, like engines, transmissions, body work, and I'd buy a car for $100 and I'd fix it up and sell it for $700, or I'd buy a car for $500 and fix it up and sell it for $1,300, and I might have to put a transmission, or I might have to put an engine, I might have to put a fender on it, I might have to do some body work, might have to put a paint job on it, and I did all of that in my garage at my house, and so I'm pretty mechanically inclined. And then what I'd do after I got the car fixed, actually sometimes even before I got it fixed, because we had to go shake the money tree, I'd advertise the car in the classified ads of the newspaper. Y'all remember newspapers, don't y'all? Okay, so they had these things called classified ads, and you could advertise stuff you had for sale in the newspaper. And so I'd run the ad, and then somebody would call, and then they'd come by, and I'd show them the car, and then they'd buy it, and they'd pay me the money, and I'd sign the title over to them. And every time, like, we were really poor, and every time I'd sell a car, me and my wife would celebrate by going on a shopping spree. And we didn't go to Macy's, and we didn't go to Sears, and we didn't go to JCPenney. We definitely didn't go to Neiman Marcus. We didn't even go to Kmart or Walmart. We went to AmVets, Salvation Army, or Goodwill. I remember those days like they were yesterday. And interestingly enough, one of those times, and I wasn't even really poor then. I was actually a pastor of a church at the time this happened, but I still shopped at Goodwill, right? I used to buy all of my suits and everything, ties, all that stuff at Goodwill. And at Salvation Army. So I was at Goodwill. This was when I was pastoring in Brunswick, Georgia. Me and my wife went to Goodwill, and we're looking around, just kind of looking around, see what they have. Found this box filled with motivational tapes. Most of them were Amway tapes. Okay, but one of those tapes was Jim Rohn, The Day That Changes Your Life. Little did I know that cassette tape that I bought at Goodwill would be one of the components that changed my life that day. Because here's what Jim Rohn said. Jim Rohn said, I was talking to my mentor, Mr. Earl Schoaf, and he asked me the question. He says, how are you doing, Mr. Rohn? He said, well, I'm not doing that good. He said, well, how is it that you're, a healthy American man and you're 26 years old and you're still not doing that well financially? He said, well, at my job, he said, that's all they pay. Mr. Schoaf said, Mr. Rohn, that's not all they pay. That's all they pay you. Are there people at your job they pay more than they pay you? He said, yes. Well, then that's not all they pay. That's just all they pay you. And he said, Mr. Rohn, if you will change, everything will change for you. I thought, wow, that's really fascinating. If you will change, everything will change for you. Well, one of the things that we have to change is we have to change the things we believe. That's all they pay. One of the things that poor people do with their mind, poor people, in fact, I just got a great idea. I'm going to change this. This just hit me. This is so cool. Since we're going to look at these categories, we might as well do it like this. Rich people, poor people. Oh. Okay. With our mind, rich people believe in our leverage. Poor people believe in their limitations. Poor people believe in their limitations. And so one of the things you're going to have to do with your mind is you're going to have to believe in your leverage more than you believe in your limitations. What does that mean? It means you're going to have to believe in your possibilities more than you believe in your problems. You're going to have to believe in your abilities more than you believe in your liabilities. And are your liabilities just you lying about your abilities anyway? Or believing the lies that other people told you about your abilities? And so that's a very big difference in belief. Like, I believe that everything is possible for me. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that everything's possible? And I know some of you right now, even as these words are falling out of my mouth, you're making an excuse for yourself and you're saying, and I'm not judging you, I'm just saying, I know this is how this works because this is how it worked in me when I was you. You're saying, yeah, that's easy for you to say, you make a lot of money. But the reason I make a lot of money is because I became the person for whom that's easy for me to say. Are y'all tracking? Yes. Like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, according to God, the chicken came first, right? So let's don't get it twisted. And so the belief comes before the behavior. The mindset comes before the asset. And so many people don't have the mindset. Like, you have a mindset that's been programmed to you by the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism. Your parents participated in it, your teachers, your pastors, your Sunday school teachers, your siblings, your friends, your neighbors, your bosses. They all participated in creating a mindset in you that made sure, inadvertently, they didn't do it intentionally, some of them, inadvertently, that you didn't get too much farther ahead of them, because if you did, it's going to make them feel like they're wasting their life. And some of you, as soon as you get a little bit ahead of the people you love, you start pumping the brakes because you don't want them to feel bad about how good you're doing. Am I telling the truth? Yeah. But see, and I used to do that. I ain't doing that no more. I can't slow down slow enough to make you go faster. Did I say that too fast? And see, sometimes it's not even the people around us that's what they desire for us. Sometimes that's just what we perceive that they desire for us. And so we initiate that whole thing ourselves. So we have to change what we believe. So I know for me, I can't speak for all rich people, but I can speak for me. I know for me, I don't look at something and decide that it's hard before I even endeavor to do it. I'm going to tell you something. It is shocking, like mind-blowingly shocking, how much easier it is to make $1 million a year than it is to make $30,000. Like, it's not easy. Making $30,000 a year ain't easy either. So, like, pick your easy, baby. Are y'all tracking? And so you have to adopt some different beliefs. And when you adopt some different beliefs, here's what happens. You develop what I call, this is your superpower right here, by the way. You develop empowered expectations. Empowered expectations will take you anywhere you desire to go. What is an empowered expectation? It's faith that has works. That's what an empowered expectation is. Faith that works is faith that will cause you to work. What do poor people do with their mind? Oh, they have disempowered expectations. They believe the whole world's against them. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think there are more people against somebody who's actually accomplishing something, or more people against somebody who's not actually yet even do anything with your life. Like nobody's thinking of, like if you're not doing anything with your life, nobody's attempting to stop you except the culture, except the mechanism itself. The matrix itself has already, it's not even attempting to stop you, it's already got you stopped. Because it's got you believing that the world that you're living in, that the life that you're experiencing is real life. And it's just the real life they programmed you to have. Now, I know I sound like I'm listening to myself while I'm talking, I sound like a whack job. Like, what's wrong with this dude? He half a bubble off. Maybe 3/4 of a bubble off. But you know what? It is what it is. Like, it doesn't cost me any more to believe the stuff I believe than it costs you. Actually, the stuff you believe may be costing you more. And by the way, it cost me a whole lot less to believe what I believe now than it did to believe the stuff that kept me broke for almost 40 years. That stuff cost me a fortune. And what's interesting is, poor people believe that all of the contributing factors are determining factors. And I'm telling you, I'm not minimizing the fact that like difficult things have happened to you. I'm not minimizing that fact. But if you think you're the only one that difficult things have happened to, you are delusional. Everybody's gone through tough stuff. That's how you know you're still living. Because you went through some tough stuff. Or maybe right now you're going through some tough stuff. You're like, man, I wish this tough stuff would get over so I could get to the enough stuff. Right? But the reality is, the enough stuff only gets here when you become the person who can stay there when you get there. The purpose of the tough stuff is to turn you into the person. What person? The person you're resisting becoming right now. I wish I had some help in here. Oh, Lord. If I could give you a gift that would change your life forever, the gift that I would give you is belief in who you are based on whose you are. I couldn't give you a better gift than that. To get you to the place where you had this sense of ability like Adam before he sinned. God said, okay, I'm going to bring you to animals. You tell me what they're going to be called. Adam named all the animals. That doesn't seem like that big of a deal until you start looking at pictures of animals and try to name them all. That'll let you know how much of a feat that was, won't it? And so what happens is we have all of these internal limitations that we believe and attempt to get other people to believe are external limitations. And we buy the lie, and it costs us everything. And I'm telling you, poor people and rich people use their mind for very different things. Rich people we use our minds to focus on intention. And the reality is we hyper-focus on intention. I'm going to define intention. Hyper-focus on intention. What does that mean? I'm going to give you the Myron Golden definition of intention. You ready? Anything that moves the needle in your favor. If it does not move the needle in your favor, it's not intention. Poor people, hyper-focus on distraction. This word is so fascinating. Distraction is one of the main tools of the enemy. We think, do you understand the purpose of professional sports? It's a psychological anesthesia to lull you into a state of asleepness so that you do not feel the pain of them extracting all of the beauty from your future. That's why it exists. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just going to ask you the question. Does it make sense to be cheering for people who don't know you to win a game that doesn't matter and you can't pay your light bill? You can't educate your children the way you desire to. You can't take a family vacation, but you're jumping up and down because a full-grown man ran over another full-grown man over a pigskin filled with air. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to watch a movie. You're broke and you're watching a movie. You're broke and you're watching a movie. I want you to feel the pain of that statement. You're broke and watching a movie. You're watching people who are rich pretend to be people who don't exist to distract you from intention in your life, from making your life better for generations, your family's life better for generations. And you're watching fake people live fake lives to create real feelings in you that anesthetize you from the fact that your life isn't working. It doesn't make sense. I'm not saying I like movies. Difference between me and you is I can afford to watch them now. And when I couldn't, I didn't. You don't understand. I was so hyper-focused on intention. I didn't listen to music. I didn't watch television. I didn't go to games. I didn't watch games. I didn't care who won if I was losing. Hyper-focus on intention instead of hyper-focusing on distraction. It'll change your life for the rest of your life. What's a distraction? Anything that doesn't move the needle in your favor. People say, I'm just not good at names. I'm just not good at sales. I'm just not good at technology. I just don't know how to use a computer. What does that even mean? When you were born, you didn't know how to do anything. Were we just going to leave you in the crib forever? Your mom going to just carry you around on her hip at 37? When you're 37, not her. We won't accept physical stagnation, but we'll accept mental, emotional, financial, learning and growth stagnation from everybody around us. And I get it. I get it. Like, people are going to misunderstand you. When you hyper-focus on intention, people are going to think you're pompous. They're going to think you're arrogant. They're going to think that you think you're better than them, even if you don't. Because they think you're better than them. They think you think you're better than them. Did I say that too fast? Because I already know I ain't better than anybody. I'm better at things than other people, but I'm not better than anybody. I am no more valuable as a human being than the person who cleans my house, or the person who cleans my hotel room, or the person who washes my car. I may value myself more than they value themselves, maybe, maybe not, but I'm not more valuable than them. And so I'm always going to treat every human being that I meet with dignity and respect because they're made in the image of God. I can't even walk past somebody without like, hi, how you doing? Why? Because I'm acknowledging the God-likeness in them. When you say hello to somebody, you're not just saying hello, you're acknowledging the God-likeness. You're not ignoring God. And what I mean by ignoring God, Jesus said it, as you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it also unto me. And how can you say you love God whom you haven't seen if you hate your brother whom you have seen? There are multiple places in Scripture where it tells us how we treat people is how we treat God. If you ignore people, you ignore God. Why? Because he's the one that told you not to ignore people. Oh, snap. When we have to do different things with our minds. But guess what? Let's take it a step further. The one thing you can do with a digital board, you can't do with a... So this is our mind. I mean, there are more things, but like if we just started out with that list, that right there will change your life. Okay, let's take it a step further. Let's take it a step further. We got to do some different stuff with our mouth. You want to do something that will really impact your life in a great way? Increase your vocabulary in whatever language you speak. For me, it's English. But increase your vocabulary and then be very intentional about the words that you speak. Stop using profanity. I know. People, it's a pattern interrupt. No, it's just the pattern now. There's no interrupt. But what else it is, it's a demonstration of verbal and mental laziness. What does that mean? You're not saying what you actually mean. You're saying a replacement of that. Now a person has to use bandwidth to figure out what you mean and then what the euphemism meant and then figure out what your intention was in the statement in the first place. You're causing people to work way too hard to understand what you mean. One of the things that I do intentionally is when I'm talking about something, when I use a word so that I'm not misunderstood, I'll define that word. Don't use, like, even though it's not profanity, it feels the same to me. Okay? Like words like try. This is what I'm trying to do. Why do people say that? This is what I'm trying to do. Are you doing it or are you not doing it? Why are you trying to do it? What does that even mean? You're trying to do it. Like, what does that mean? Do you try to wake up in the morning or do you just wake up? I'm going to go try to take a shower. Nobody ever says that. Do they? Did you ever do anybody? I'm going to try to go take a shower. Nobody says that. What is that? I'm gonna go sit down and try to eat. Try to eat? What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. But what we're doing is we're practicing using a backdoor word so that when we don't keep our word, we didn't set too high of an expectation for us in the first place. What does the scripture say? Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. You try. I'm going to try. Don't even try. Or what did we say back in the 70s? Don't even try it, right? Anyway, y'all are not even old enough to know what that means. So when you use your mouth, use positive words. Instead of using what poor people use, negative words. Rich people use their words to create ideas. Poor people use their words to complain and blame. Let me ask you a question. What would happen every time somebody, quote, did something to you if you asked this question? What part did I play in that? Wouldn't you find some new answers? Right? Remember I talked about contributing factors and determining factors? Okay. How many of you have ever attempted to control another human being in some way? Come on now, let's be honest. Okay, we're my people. Okay. Well, how many of you spend all your time with you? Like you spend all your time with yourself? That's you. Okay, good. There's not like a second that goes by that you ain't with you. Okay, cool. How many of you have struggled getting yourself to change something about you? Well, that ought to let you know how impossible it is for you to change some other human being. Which tells us what? Well, one of the things it tells us is that all contributing factors, in other words, there are evil people in the world. Racism is real, but it's not the reason you're stuck. Government corruption is real, but it's not the reason you're broke. There are evil rich people in the world, but they're not the reason you're poor. Because contributing factors are all outside of us. I had polio as an infant. Because of segregation, I was born in a segregated hospital. That was a contributing factor, not a determining factor. And it contributed to my life. It contributed to the difficulty of my life, but everything that contributes to the difficulty of your life also contributes to the strength of your life, unless you resist. And then the things that contribute to the difficulty of your life also contribute to the weakness of your life, because the weakness of your life is that you complain and blame. You're always looking for the reason, and it's always outside of you. And I am telling you, the reason is also always inside of us. I can't control everything. You can't control everything. But here's what you can control. You can control what you're going to focus on, what things mean to you, and what you're going to do next. You can always control that. I was in Tampa, Florida. I mean, I wasn't. I was in Orlando, Florida. I was in Orlando, Florida, April 15th, 2007. My son was in Pennsylvania. He was leaving my dad's house. He got in a car accident. I couldn't control that. He died 4 days later. I couldn't control that. But you know what I could control? What I was going to focus on. What that meant. And what I was going to do next. We went from being the richest person I knew. I went from being the richest person I know to the poorest person I knew. And all of it wasn't stuff that I did wrong. A lot of it was stuff I did wrong. Like I just expanded my lifestyle way too fast. Way too fast. I didn't think it was fast. It didn't feel fast to me. You get to the place you're making relatively consistently over $100,000 a month in your business, you think it's going to last forever. Here's what I discovered after finding out. Well, $100,000 a month ain't that much. It can go away as fast as it came. In fact, it can go away faster. Guess what I do now? Spend money very slowly. You know why? because I've already played close to the edge. Never again. I can live in a bigger house, have nicer cars. You're like, you got nice cars. I know, I got a nice house too. Like, all of it could be nicer. And eventually, maybe it will. Or maybe it won't. That's just stuff. You know what matters? What matters is my family's good. And if I die today, they're good. I had no control over those things, but I can control what I'm going to do. I can control what I do next. I can't control the government. I can't control who gets elected. I don't know if anybody can control who gets elected. I don't even believe elections do anything. I vote just in case they do. I think it's all a distraction. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't think I am. It's another anesthesia. But stop looking outside yourself for the reason your life isn't working. Your life isn't working because there's something you have not done. If my life isn't working, there's something I have not done. There's someone I've not yet become. I can either become that person or I can look around and figure out all the other people who are not doing the thing, and I have no control over them, so the likelihood of them doing the thing that they need to do in order for me to have the life I desire to have ain't gonna happen. How many of y'all tracking? I'm talking about 2 sentences. Like, we got to do different things with our mouth. So people think that I'm a positive person. I'm positive-ish sometimes. But more than positive, I'm just aware. And in my awareness, I'm grateful. What does that mean? When I woke up this morning, I woke up hyper aware of the fact that everybody who went to bed last night did not wake up this morning. I know how to get up. I don't know how to make sure I don't die in my sleep and wake up. That was a gift. When I woke up and opened my eyes, I could see. I know how to make myself look. I don't know how to make myself see. That's a gift. Are y'all tracking? Yes. I got up out of the bed. I stood up. My legs work. One of them works better than the other one. I get it. But they work. There are people who have been paralyzed from the neck down for 20 years. To be able to stand, to be able to walk with a limp is a gift. Wow. You ever thought about that before? To be able to walk with a limp is a gift. I can hear birds singing outside. Oh, wow, that's amazing. I can hear birds. I know how to make myself listen, but I don't know how to make myself hear. That's a gift. By the time I get downstairs, fully dressed, after my biohacking routine, I've opened so many gifts. How could I be anything but grateful for the rest of the day? I've had so many things given to me by whatever time it is right now, 10:50 a.m. in the morning. What am I going to complain about? The fact that something in my life isn't working like I'd like it to, even though I haven't done things to make it work better? Are y'all tracking? I'm talking about 2 sentences that'll make you rich now. The last one, I got to do it quickly because my challenge starts in 10 minutes. The last one is, we got to do something different with our money. So if I'm going to tell you the primary difference between poor people and rich people when it comes to money, poor people think the primary purpose of money is to pay bills. They think that's the primary purpose of money. So they're always holding on to as much as they can so that it doesn't go away before it's time for them to pay their bills. Are y'all tracking? Like rich people, here's what we believe. We believe the primary purpose of money is turning it into more money. So when I get $1, I'm going to do everything in my power to turn it into 2 or 10 before any of that $1 goes out. I get $100, I'm going to turn that $100 into 200, 300, 400, 500, 10, 1,000 before I spend any of it. In my book, I said, I want to hold on to my money long enough for it to get pregnant and have some babies. I don't spend the mama money, I only spend the baby money. See, poor people think the primary purpose of money is to pay bills. Middle-class people think the primary purpose of money is to pay their bills on time so they can establish and maintain good credit so they can buy more stuff they can't afford, but they can afford the payments. Rich people use debt totally. Poor people are afraid of debt. Middle-class people are used by debt. Rich people use debt to create wealth and avoid taxes legally. What? It's a different way of thinking. It's a different perspective. And I am telling you, I'm going to go back to the beginning. These two sentences will make you rich. Not kind of rich, not sort of rich, but rich beyond your wildest imagination. Find out what rich people do financially and do the same things, period. Find out what poor people do financially, comma, and whatever else you do, don't do that. Congratulations, you're a millionaire. And I know it sounds like an oversimplification, because that's what we do in America today. We do these things called snap judgments. We would just react. Do you know why people react? Because parenting has gone down the toilet. People don't realize that the purpose of parenting is to turn an out-of-control, undisciplined child into an in-control, disciplined, responsible adult. If you do not teach your child through the four phases of parenting, for the 4 phases of child development, if you don't train your child to be an adult, that's the whole purpose. If you don't turn them into a responsible adult, they will be a child in an adult's body who only knows how to react to everything and respond to nothing. Do you realize the word, and I'm going to end on this. Let's talk about financial responsibility. What's responsibility? That's an interesting word. It's a compound word. It's 2 words in one, responsibility. It means to respond with ability. Oh, if I don't respond with ability, then the only thing I have left is to react because of my inability to respond with ability. 2 sentences will make you rich. Take them seriously. Believe it, like not figuratively, but believe it in reality. Go do it. Take it literally, take it seriously, and watch your life change for the better. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.